Okay, good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the Fireside Chat Show of the MBA Department of Swami Vivekananda Group of Institute. Today, our guest of honor is Dr. Debjyoti Chanda, Head of the Department of Mass Communication and Videography of Rabindra Bharati University. Dr. Chanda have completed his PhD in Communication Strategy for Self-Help Groups. He is also an English newsreader and anchor since 2003 in DD News, the India's national broadcaster. He has also been the Secretary of Kolkata Chapter of Public Relations Council of India. So it is our privilege to have Dr. Chanda at our show. Welcome Dr. Debjyoti Chanda to our Fireside Chat Show of the MBA Department of Swami Vivekananda Group of Institute.
I am extremely privileged. Thank you for calling me.
As discussed, sir, that we have jotted down few questions for you as we have got the opportunity to talk to you on a live platform. So for the benefit of the greater community, we have jotted down few questions so that it will be great if you can answer and explain those things for the benefit of our students as well as the greater community.
Definitely.
So the first question for you is, as we are going through this COVID-19 pandemic situation, we are almost in the third month. How do you assess the present scenario?
The present scenario is still quite grim. The entire thing began in Wuhan, China, sometime in January, spread all across the globe. Within a span of about a month, especially we saw the situation becoming very grim in Europe, especially in countries like Spain and Italy and United Kingdom still. And it was spreading gradually in different countries of Asia. Suddenly, the virus became very raging in North America, especially in USA, and then it spread even in far off countries like Chile, Paraguay, Panama, and Latin America. In India, we started understanding that the situation is very grim when our students and our friends spread across the globe, the NRI community, many wanted to come back to India, especially the student community started appealing to the government for arranging flights that they wanted to come back. And the government of India, after the visit of President Trump, the entire process started of this is a different kind of a crisis for the entire world. It is unparalleled because we have a virus for which we still do not have any medicine. We are looking for, there are no other ways of preventing it other than maintaining certain sets of personal hygiene and maintaining social distance. Once this was the only way in which we could stop the spread of the virus. This had immediate telling in the entire economic situation, because once you work, the working conditions in factories, in schools, in colleges, in everywhere where people meet, in such circumstances when you have to maintain social distance, maintain personal hygiene, it became quite impossible. And governments across the globe thought it prudent that the only means to stop the spread of this virus is by imposing a kind of a lockdown where people were told to stay indoors, not to come out. And this had an immediate impact on the economy because manufacturing stopped, normal economic activity stopped, the transportation all over the world stopped. It's the first time international flights, local flights moved. India has the largest railway network in the world. Trains across the country stopped. And all this happened, and this had an immediate, our unemployment rate started rising, our GDP fell, especially certain sectors of the economy, like tourism, like certain sectors like the entire, the business of all the restaurants closed down. The malls closed down, and this started having an impact. And in India we saw a very special situation where the condition of the migrant labor. It is a big country, and not all parts of the country are equally developed. People, especially from the eastern part of India, migrate to the south and the west and the north in search of jobs. And the sudden calling of the lockdown, these people got stuck where they were. It's almost 2 months now, and then a crisis emerged. So all this has an impact. Till today, see, if you take the sheer number of people that those have been infected in our country, the number in comparison to the rest of the globe is not much. I'm talking in terms of percentage, but in sheer numbers, it is a big number. In terms of percentage, if you say India has 130 crore population, 2 lakh or 3 lakh is not a very big number, and it's a very big country, and we see that 1/3 or 1/4 of this number is concentrated in certain states like Maharashtra, Delhi, and Tamil Nadu. The lockdown was extended for four times, it seems, and then the government thought that this situation, the economic situation, in order to check the downfall in the economy, we have started an unlockdown process. But the feedback that we are getting constantly, that the unlockdown process has also triggered the number of COVID patients in the country, and this has put us all of us in a dilemma. This is but to my mind, life and livelihood, this is a false binary. I feel that human life is of paramount importance, and in order for the economy to rebound, the spread of the virus must be arrested at all costs, and therefore arrested at all costs, and therefore I'm sure our administrators, our policy planners will think of ways and means. Still, the virus is spreading. It is spreading especially in the big metropolitan cities of the country. Our health infrastructure is in severe stress and strain now, especially in cities like Mumbai and Delhi. And under the circumstances, we have to be very, very cautious.
Right. Thank you so much for the detailed explanation. It is a fact that there are a lot of aspects, like say for example the migratory laborers. Though it has been ensured that the migratory laborers can come back to their home, but what next? I mean, what would be their employment opportunities? I mean, they used to earn something in some other states, but what would now? I mean, what would be the fate?
Yes, that has been very much at the back of the minds of governments, and also those who are thinking about the situation. And I think many economists have also said that under the present circumstances, two very important factors are there. That many have suggested that there must be direct money transfer to these people to enable them sustain for at least 2 or 3 months, direct money transfer to meet their daily requirements, and also some sort of food security. We understand that India has the largest public distribution system, a very well laid out network all across the country, and the government and also the Food Corporation of India has also informed us that we have also a huge buffer stock of food grains across the Food Corporation of India godowns. Therefore, what is important is management and execution at the ground level. We'll have to ensure that food grain supply to the marginal and the poorer sections. I'm also at this stage talking about the middle class also. We often tend to talk about the very rich and the very poor, but the middle class, often many of them are left behind in this entire thought process. The middle class often don't come out in search of, they don't come out, they feel shy, but they also require many kinds of help and assistance, and the government machinery must ensure that the direct, we don't want middlemen. Direct money transfer must go to people through the different accounts, to the different process. And also, since these people are coming back to their own districts, we have different projects of the government, especially the Mahatma Gandhi Manrega type projects, where these projects must be keeping, I think the problem is not, the COVID problem is not that severe in the districts, although reports are coming in that once these migrant trains have started coming back to the districts, many of these migrants, at least 20% of them, are coming back COVID infected, so they have to be kept in quarantine facilities. But the rest of them must be, these people we have seen, we have got such heartwarming stories where we have seen somebody cycling from Pune to Kolkata back. We have seen people people walking from Hyderabad to Malda. Such stories we have heard. So in the circumstances, these people are very agile people, very, very strong people, both physically and mentally, and some a little bit. And also here the civil society. We can't expect the government to do everything. The civil society, the haves, we understand that the problem with India is unequal distribution of wealth and income. There is a lot of wealth in the country. So the people who can afford to share a very small percentage of their resources through the NGO network, through the civil society network, this is the time when we should come out. We should lend a helping hand. And because we understand, now we have understood that money always doesn't buy anything. We have seen the billionaires in Italian villas dying alone without anybody to help them, even anybody to tell them goodbye when they were dying in Italy, when the crisis was raging in Italy. So money doesn't buy anything. And this is the time we also saw that our immediate community, our local Kinara shops, our para boys, how they are also very, very important for us to live. We have seen stories where actually not, we think of big things. But here the small community today came together and helped, extended their helping hand to so many of us. So therefore, we must also, as we think big, we must also, this pandemic has taught us to think small also. And this is the time when we must rethink our strategies and help as much as we can to people who are in distress and duress now.
Right, that's a nice message to the society actually. You know, there are people, you know, who have capacity, they should come out to help the other people. So that is required so that we can, you know, survive together. So that is important.
Together. This is the need of
this, from this we are coming to our next question. So this is an emergency crisis situation. So how do you think that society is responding? Though we have clarified a little bit in your previous answer, but how do you think that the society is responding to this crisis situation?
The lockdown was, we were getting hints of it, but the lockdown became very sudden. And we saw people at initially getting a bit panicked, and we saw hoarding, increase of prices of essential commodities and hoarding. But within a month or so, we understood that there is enough of supply in the country. We are not in shortage of any goods. The initial panic of the situation of hoarding, the vegetables, the fish, the chicken, the eggs, our daily needs, our groceries, all that we need are available. Maybe there has been an escalation of prices here and there, but things were available. With that, the panic situation came down a bit. What we are facing today, a kind of the 3 or 4 months lockdown, what is happening, we are away from our usual business. And nobody wants to sit and eat. We are human beings, we want to work, we want to earn our living. And there are two types of people. On one section, the salaried classes, many of whom are who are in the government sector are being paid their salary. But at the same time, we have seen that there has been retrenchment, there has been pay cuts, there has been joblessness, and there's been a very, very uncertain and bleak future for many. And so, depending on the situation an individual is, their reaction has been different. Society, I feel, has at times the lockdown wanted people to stay indoors. I think the young and the adventurous, it is difficult to make them understand. What is very important here, we have seen this, that countries, societies which are very often very who maintain rules and regulations. We see societies like Japan. We see societies like Cuba. We have seen countries like Vietnam, where lockdown measures were imposed and they were obeyed by the citizens. And we saw the immediate positive effect on this. The graph of the COVID-19 came back, and we have seen countries like South Korea, where they immediately recovered within a month. Countries of South Asia, we do not have this kind of approach to life. We are often we think that the government is imposing something on us, and so it is we disobey rules, and therefore the disease has spread. If we become more disciplined, I think we can manage things better as society. In South Asia, in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, in many countries, we have seen in USA also. We have seen people when they were given a chance. We have seen even in USA people coming down to protest against lockdown and going to the beaches to enjoy. And then we saw a spike in the number of patients. So this is from one society to another. We know how soft people the Japanese are, the Vietnamese are. We've seen South Korea, how they listen, how they obey orders. If we would have done so, we would have benefited from it. We haven't done so. So the problem is continuing.
True, right. So, as you are here with us, so definitely I have to ask some question related to, mass communication or that particular media industry. So my question is that as the mass media is playing a very crucial role in dissemination of the information during this pandemic. So how do you assess the role of this media industry in this situation?
We understand the basic role of media is to inform, to educate, and to entertain. There was a need to educate the people what this disease is, because it's something very new for us. So I think the government, from the very first day, since we have 24/7 television channels now, and we have the social media, we have the various apps, the government very judiciously, and they use these means to inform the people about the do's and the don'ts. And the media also, since this became the headline news, all sorts of news regarding the COVID crisis became headline news. The mass media also voluntarily has also been doing stories on COVID very nicely. As far as education is concerned, this time also we saw, since many of us are in the teaching community, we saw how the mass media has been used for online classes, etc., when normal classes have stopped. And of course, since people are indoors for a very long time, we do not have much sources of entertainment. Mass media has also been a kind of to release their boredom. Mass media entertainment is also the little bit of entertainment that we got from the different channels and from the social media has been playing a very, very important part. What is also what we saw during this point of time is that there has been an attempt on the part of unscrupulous elements in society to misinform also, to spread panic also. Especially in the name of citizen journalism, many social media platforms have been used to spread panic and misinformation and to politicize things often. Here, the established media houses, I think, had played a reasonably responsible role, whereby they used their platforms to disseminate information that is true and credible. Because as much information is there in society, there is misinformation is also there. Therefore, one has to separate the grain from the chaff. It is very, very important. And therefore, since there is so much of misinformation, the mass media's role becomes becomes, as an important stakeholder, becomes very, very critical. That it is becoming a kind of a bridge. Communication here is playing a bridge between the government, the authority, and the larger society. And here the information is coming through the mass media, and therefore communication here, health communication especially, and since a lot of new things were happening, and also with the change, there were a lot of changes, as the situation was getting worse, the government was putting new measures in place. As situations were getting better, those regulations were being removed. The time and again there were press conferences resources on the part of the police administration, from the administration headquarters, even from the highest authority, that is on the level of chief minister and the prime minister of the country. And these things were carried live by the electronic media, and which was of great benefit to the common man. And therefore, the mass media's role during the pandemic, and we also, we are today, we are living in a interdependent and interconnected world. Our world has become bigger. It has become smaller at the same time. At the same time, it is bigger. So incidents regarding COVID pandemic, especially I myself, I'm an avid user of social media. Whenever there were live telecasts by the World Health Organization or by the apex body in India, the ICMR, the Medical Council of India, I was sharing those platforms so that my friends and the general public could learn from them that what are they, because we are very inquisitive as to, because all over the world, a lot of effort have been put by scientists, medical technologists, etc., to find a kind of medicines for this virus, how to prevent the virus. Therefore, these news of these, people are curious to know that. And here the mass media also was playing a very, very critical and crucial role.
Right. Thank you so much for that explanation. Actually, it is a fact that especially through the social media, probably there's some so-called fake news are spreading. And sometimes we are, believing some of the established media that yes, if the news is from that, here the social media, the most of the established media houses are having their social media pages nowadays.
Platforms.
Right. So it is good that we can get authentic information through them. We can differentiate between the fake news and the authentic news. So that is a good thing. So we are coming to the next part. Actually, this industry, this media industry, has also been affected negatively. We are hearing different newses. So it will be great if you can, explain the present situation of the media industry right now in India.
The mass media operates within a system. It is not functioning in isolation. And the mass media, especially the print media, has a dual economy: subscription and advertisement. These are the two sources of income for the print media. With the economic activity almost coming to a standstill, the very important, so almost 70% of the print media's income comes from advertisements. Advertisement almost came to a standstill. We were not there. There has been a huge shrinkage, and the amount of advertisements print media houses used to get has dwindled to almost 70%. The only source may be government ads. The classified ads are just not coming, and you understand that certain sectors like the fossil fuel sector, the car industry, we heard in the last quarter, 3 months, not a single car they have sold for very established manufacturers. We have seen. We have seen that our entertainment business is very huge business. Films have not been released. Serials are not being shot. Our multiplexes have closed down, and our shopping malls have closed down. Our eating houses, our restaurants are not functioning, and therefore so many industries have come to a standstill, and therefore as a spiraling effect, advertisements have dwindled. And on the other hand, initially what happened is there was a fear by a rumor that through newspapers COVID-19 can spread. So lots of people whom I know stopped subscriptions of what happened that certain media houses, print media houses, who were giving their e-papers free, they made it. They started a subscription for it. You couldn't download it anymore free, because the regular subscribers who used to take the physical hard copy of the paper, the subscription stopped, and therefore. The similar situation in electronic media. Apart from the news 24/7 news media, we have the entertainment channels where shooting of serials, etc., have stopped, and they were forced to telecast old serials, etc. So
Right.
the situation, and one after another, what happened was that this has had a very, very telling effect on the media industry. I do not want to mention names in the media industry, but almost all established houses, they have done to reduce losses, what they've done threefold. Many have not renewed contracts of journalists. They have been
Okay.
told to, for forced to leave. That you don't come from today, when we need you again, we will call you.
Okay.
There has been cutting of salaries also, 30, 20, 30% cut in salaries. People have suddenly seen that suddenly when the pandemic lockdown began, the next month they saw that they got less space. I have even heard from students who are in smaller media houses where they have been paid less. Not only that, they have not been paid their salaries in one go. They have been
Okay.
paid their salaries on the 7th of the month, a part of their salary, and again another part of the salary on the 18th of the month.
Mhm.
Then also, and apart from that, many of the newspaper houses are working from home. And
Mhm.
some newspaper houses are established newspaper houses who have their own establishments. I'm talking of buildings. They
Right.
have in the city. They don't have to pay rentals. But there are many new houses, many new newspaper houses who operate from like Sector 5, 8,000 square foot. They pay 2 lakh rupees rental per month.
Mhm.
This was a great pressure on them, and therefore many have closed down their bureaus. A paper like Telegraph closed down their Jharkhand edition and their Guwahati edition. NDTV
Okay.
has closed down their Kolkata bureau. And they wanted to operate in order to, as a cost-cutting measure, they wanted to do away with the paying for the real estate and the rentals. And
Mhm.
many such measures were taken. And the contracts were not renewed. Many people have lost their jobs. Many journalists went out of jobs suddenly. And Indian Newspaper Society has taken this matter up with the government and asked for a kind of stimulus package for also the newspaper industry. We haven't heard much. Apart from this, another very, very important, from the very personal level of the journalist, we understand that we are working during a time of a pandemic. And our journalists, especially those who are in the reporting section, they have to go out and report.
Right.
And we have seen we have seen houses in Mumbai and in Delhi, entire 40 people in a newspaper house in a channel got affected by COVID.
True.
We have seen deaths of journalists by COVID. The other day, I saw a very young crime reporter from Hyderabad. He died of COVID because he got in contact with when he went for reporting outside. And for them, with a minuscule salary and there is almost no health insurance package for these people. There is no compensation. All these are very, very important from the individual journalist's point of view. Apart from losing getting less paid, losing their jobs, many journalists have lost their lives during this pandemic times.
Right.
And therefore, this is also, the journalism industry, the mass media industry is also, like many other sectors, is passing through a very, very critical phase now.
Right. Right. Yeah, thank you for those examples. Actually, the people will come to know the present situation of the media industry right now. That what are the problems they are facing, and even in spite of those problems, they are in the process of dissemination of information or sending the information on a regular basis. So hats off to them. Actually, all the journalist fraternity. So from that, actually, just I want to ask one question: that the journalism practice and the tools are changing. Uh, Maybe due to the pandemic situation or the present economic and the social condition. So how do you think, how do you assess the thing actually, how it is being changing?
Yes, the practice of journalism is changing in the sense we understand that since the advent of 24/7 channels, the way of presentation of news has already changed. Because in the newspaper, we want to see, if you talk about we know 5W and 1H, who, what, when, how, where, and why. And people generally know the rest. What we want to know is how and why from the print media, because the rest we know from the television channels. And
So, sir, we were discussing about this, journalism practice and the tools that changing scenarios. So, what are the major changes you are looking at during this situation, actually?
The pandemic situation has forced many print media houses, especially, to look into avenues where we can work from home. So many of my journalist friends today are working with a few of them. We are seeing editions coming out, but actually many of them are working with 1/4 of their general staff capacity, and many are working from home. This is a new challenge for them, but again it is also giving them an opportunity as a new kind of media management, where journalists, where media houses have started thinking that they can do away with their palatial setups and still bring out editions working from home, and whereby this can in future become a model. Another thing is that today we are seeing that there are houses which are bringing out newspapers, at the same time running channels, and at the same time newspapers which we are seeing they are being shared in social media platforms. So therefore, what we are seeing, the style of presentation, how we are writing news. Today we are constantly telling that we want the entire news in just 100 words, because it is being shared in social media, where we do not want very long stories. We want packages of short stories, with very short stories with pictures. Therefore, the manner in which things are being written now have also changed. And often I'm also while discussing it with my students who are practicing journalists, that why did you go there? So, no sir, I did not go there, but actually you did not understand that we were giving the voiceover and we were using some stock shots to show you that that particular place, but actually we were not at that point of time reporting from the spot. And therefore, these different ways and means, certain permutations and combinations are being used. See, we have to adapt and adopt to circumstances. It's not that we are being cunning, or we want to fool our viewers. It's nothing of that sort. The thing is that the pandemic situation has forced us indoors. Still, we are trying our best to, at the least possible time, to reach the current news to our readers as much as possible, and that also under very, very trying circumstances, with with much less staff, without the normal facilities and the technological support that we get from our offices. We are trying to do that, and if under the circumstances, I think the mass media, the print media, and also the electronic media has come out with flying colors. They are doing very well, and but what we are worried about is that in spite of the risks they are taking, how much they're getting back, because ultimately this is our profession, this is our vocation, but it's also our bread and butter, and therefore the guarantee of a job during a pandemic situation, a crisis situation, is very, very important. Overnight losing of jobs is something very crucial and critical, and I think the journalist associations, the government, the press clubs, etc., they must, I've not seen any protests. We have seen a lot of talk. Sometimes I myself, I'll tell you, I've become very critical of it. I even wrote other day in Facebook that a house which just sacked half of its journalism staff is next day running a post edit about job security in their own page. But they have sacked their own journalists. And a very established newspaper house, which is running from 1800 and something. It's not a new house. So just after 2 months, if you couldn't sustain, you can, slashing off salary is, well, paying less salary is okay, but totally telling them that you don't come from tomorrow is something very, very painful. But that has happened in our country. In many houses across the country, journalists have lost their jobs, which is very critical. Very unfortunate.
So let's see, we hope for the best that the situation will be developing or the improving with time. So let's hope for that. So as you know that we are basically from educational institute. So my last question to you would be that how the students or the youth should prepare themselves, especially in these challenging times ahead in their career.
We are, no doubt, there is no way in which we can deny that that the economic situation that has been predicted is that zero growth rate. RBI yesterday that we won't grow this year. Our growth rate will be as much as that. And therefore, the job market will be down. We are in for difficult times, but we must also understand that this is a situation that has been thrown upon us by nature, and we have to cope up with it. We are in the academic front. We were unable to complete our syllabuses. Our academic calendar went away wrong. We are still not clear that in what manner we will be able to hold our examinations.
Right.
Many private universities have gone the online way, but in government universities, in public universities, we are worried about it because after some sort of experimentation in my university, Rabindra University, we began classes, but we could see only 30% of the total students in big departments like history, Bangla, which are 300 students in a class, only 40 to 50 students joining in.
Right.
Because we cannot presume that everybody have got laptops, everybody have got Android phones, 4G systems, and router at houses, Wi-Fi. These things we cannot presume. And
Right.
you understand that many of our students also write in Indian languages and often typing in Indian languages, because these are skills which has to be learnt over time. And overnight, you cannot tell them to sit for an exam when they have difficulty in typing in Indian language. I'm not talking of English. English is often done, but in Indian language, we know now softwares are there. We can type in English and the Bangla fonts will come. But these things has to be learned. These things has to be learned. So overnight, we are at a quandary. The policymakers, we are not quite sure. The deans, the heads of departments, we are sitting on regular meetings, and we are trying to find out ways and means as to how we will cope up with the situation. I will tell my students that this is the time when you have the inner strength. This is very important, that you have to be agile within. You have to understand that you have to see incidents where you will see that how we are better off than men. This will give some sort of a inner strength to us, that we are in our houses, we are getting our daily bread, and we are still healthy.
Right.
And around, there is, when we look around and when we look beyond our own cozy atmosphere, we will see that people are in very, very dire straits, in very difficult circumstances. So we must thank God for what little we have got at this point of time. And I will tell you, it is from my personal experience. The person who stood first in class is nowhere. A person who, in life is a different story altogether. Life is not about marks and syllabus. Life is a different story and journey altogether. We have seen from our experiences that students who are very bright have lost somewhere and not to be found, and students who are not so bright and mediocre or lower in the rank, today they are doing very well in life, because life balance. So this is the time when it's time, since you are within your houses, we are understanding that how much contribution our mothers make to our families, our wives make to our families. We are helping in their work. How little and underpaid our housemaids are, and how much they actually help are, we are understanding today when they are not coming, when they have been told not to come because of the pandemic. So these are learning experiences for us. Everything in life is not in books. Often life is beyond that. So I would tell you to be patient this time. 1 year loss or loss of 6 months in a semester won't matter much. We will be able to cope up, and we are all praying and all hoping that this pandemic situation will go away. The virus will weaken, medicines and will be found, and we will be able to, humans, if you look into history, we have seen that many such challenges have been faced by humankind throughout history. We must understand that we are in extraordinary times, witnessing in front of us that a new history opening. We, after 20 years, will say, oh, in 2020, something like this happened,
Right.
which we had never imagined, that the entire globe, all the big cities of the world, airports where in a day they used to have 10,000 flights coming up and going down, everything has come to a standstill. So life will not come to a standstill. I'm sure we will cope up with it and get over it. Till then, I will tell my students to bear patience and hope for the best. We are all waiting for that.
Right.
This is my message for them.
Right. So thank you so much for ending with a very, very positive note that we need to adapt, we need to evolve, we need to overcome the uncertainties, and definitely the good days will be coming. We'll be able to overcome this situation as well. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart that you have given you so much of your time.
It was very nice talking to you. It was very nice talking to you.
And thank you for participating in our this chat show. Thank you so much again from the MBA department of the Swami Vivekananda Group of Institutes. Thank you so much.
Once again. All the best to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.